Hello friends, this is Seasonally Refreshed Worm here today, and of course the new season just launched earlier today, and surprisingly players were able to get in very quickly after the season starting. Normally what will end up happening is players will try to log in and they're met with a queue basically to get into the game, but if you're anything like me and many others, you were lucky enough to log straight in and dive right into the new season stuff, right? And this is where like content creation gets hard for me personally, because I don't do like guides for seasons and opinions, and so I do opinions, but it's too early on in the season to formulate full opinions, although I have to say it's been pretty fun what I've been kind of dabbling in so far. But I wanted to talk about the nerfs and stuff that were said to be coming to Destiny 2 and to the season and stuff like that, because honestly I did not feel a whole lot of change between last season and this season, right? Of course the main changes I guess I was trying to focus on was the change to Woven Mail, which, you know, the change to Strand Titan all around, not just Woven Mail, but the change to Strand Titan all around. And really, I did not feel any different. You're seeing in the background here, I'm actually using the Suspend build, which the Suspend build is still as great as it ever was. But with Banner of War, I didn't feel much of a difference. I took it through a Nightfall, I took it into some seasonal content, I took it kind of in a couple different places. I didn't feel any difference between last season and this season. And granted, you know, maybe these changes are much more impactful in in-game level content like Grandmasters or Master Raids and stuff like that, but I didn't feel much of a difference, especially on Strand Titan. Like, it was still as powerful as it ever was. Like, you know, you're healing. Yeah, it did take longer to ramp up the Banner of War to ×4 stacks, right? No question about that. But if you're doing solo content, you're not really gonna notice that, I guess, because you're getting all the kills anyways. But aside from taking longer to ramp up, the duration definitely felt substantially increased, which feels really good for this whole entire kit. Feels fantastic. So, you know, Woven Mail, same thing. It got a 10% damage reduction nerf. So instead of doing 55% DR, it's now 45%. I could not really tell. I don't know if it was because Banner of War was constantly healing and I was just taking less damage, but I couldn't tell a difference. I don't think that Banner of War Titan has been affected really at all. Same thing with Syntheseps. Syntheseps don't feel changed, right? And we talked about this yesterday. You know, Syntheseps getting that like 17-18% nerf is not going to really sway much of the battlefield, and that's exactly what I found today. I was still one-shotting basically everything in the game with a melee. So again, it's not that, like, nothing's really changed about it. The one build I didn't really try was Bonk Hammer. Correction. I used the Throwing Hammer. I didn't do a designated Bonk Hammer build. I just did Solar Titan. And yeah, that hammer cooldown, you know, I did find it a little bit frustrating sometimes. I would throw a hammer, I would miss it because my aim is terrible with a Throwing Hammer. So I'd chase it down, pick it up, and then get ready to throw it at an enemy, but it wasn't quite cooled down yet. So I guess that's a frustration, but at the same time, once I got acclimated to it, it wasn't an issue anymore. But yeah, so, you know, Strand Titan, completely fine. It does not feel like it's changed at all. You know, Hammer Titan, or I should say Bonk Build Titan. Bonk Build Titan probably does feel a lot different because you can't spam the hammer anymore. But if you acclimate yourself to it, it's really not that bad. The biggest thing I did notice was with Heavy Handed. I didn't try, I think it's Firepower, the one that a grenade kill will make an orb of power. But with Heavy Handed, that definitely, like, there's a little timer that pops up on your screen. It's, you know, 9 seconds or whatever. It's technically 10 seconds, but starts at 9 and zeros counted as a second as well. That was definitely noticeable. The orbs were not anywhere near as present as they once were. But again, didn't find myself missing that all that much. Like, I didn't find myself like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I'm not making any orbs, I can't make orbs, blah blah blah. Like, I got my super in what felt like about the same amount of time. Like, the changes and nerfs that came to Titan specifically, because that was everybody's saying, is like, everybody's like, oh, like, Bungie hates Titans, Bungie's nerfing Titans. No, Strand Titan still the strongest build in the game by a long shot. 100%, it is still the strongest build in the game by, like, you know, by miles. Okay, so Strand Titan still fantastic. Bonk Build Titan, they just changed the boring aspect of it, so I guess just get out there and find something better to use. But But yeah, survivability. The other thing I want to talk about was restoration, which comes with the solar kits. I did notice restoration it definitely felt like you were healing less, right? Like, you know, if you're taking a lot of damage, you know, on my Solar Titan build that I was doing, I had the, I forget the name of the spark, or not the spark, the fragment that allows you to extend the duration of restoration and radiance when you get solar kills. Even with that applied and having that restoration up constantly, it did 100% feel like it was a lot slower. And I was having to play a little bit smarter, a little bit more methodical. But again, it wasn't like miles different. It's not like, oh my gosh, like I can't heal anymore, like nothing like that. Like, you know, restoration is fine. Survivability as a whole feels still good. It doesn't feel horrible. Like, I think a lot of people were saying Bungie just removing all of our survivability, and you know, they're worried about you know, being able to live through combat. Like, you're still gonna live through combat. It's gonna take some acclimation, you know, and some slowing your roll a little bit, right? You just gotta slow your roll. Solar Titan out there, you know, running around. Like, I just had to slow down a little bit, just a little bit, not a whole lot. It's not like I was, you know, going 100 miles an hour and instantly dropped to 40. Like, I went from 100 miles an hour down to like 85 miles an hour. Like, it's not that big of a deal, you know. And like I said, with the heavy-handed and firepower changes, again, I only tested heavy-handed. Like, yeah, it does feel kind of bad. I shouldn't say bad, but it does feel different not spawning so many orbs of power, especially when you use, like, you know, threat of warding on Strand so that you can get woven mail by picking up orbs of power, and recuperation so that you heal when you pick up orbs of power. Like, one of the things I definitely noticed when I got swarmed by enemies and the heavy-handed was on cooldown, when I took a melee swing, like, and it didn't spawn an orb of power, like, it didn't give me that normal, like, the woven mail and the health boost I was used to getting. And that's what I'm talking about, like, slowing down so that you're not, like, you're a little bit more cautious in your play. You don't have to be, you know, incredibly mindful of everything you do, but you do have to be more cautious. Again, it didn't feel all that awful to me. So yeah, I think that's overall the changes that came to Strand and to, you know, to the armor mods, stuff like that. Again, like, if you've been watching the background footage, like, I'm doing the suspend build Titan. I mean, I pretty much never without some sort of suspension ability, right? And granted, I am in solo content, so it's easier for me to, you know, generate energy and stuff like that. But again, our builds are not totally butchered. Like, I think everybody was worried about our abilities being just completely decimated and butchered, blah blah blah. Definitely not the case. Like, it still feels fine. It still feels good. Like, you know, you can still suspend things infinitely. You can still, you know, spam a lot of abilities. Like, you know, Bungie slowed it down a little bit, but they didn't slow it down to the point that everybody was thinking that it was gonna hurt, right? But with that being said, what were some of the other changes that I mean, really, those were the big ones. Those were the big ones that I'd noticed. I have not got a chance to try out glaives yet. I am looking forward to trying out glaives. But yeah, I mean, just a quick video today. I'm still kind of getting a feel for all the content and stuff like that, but I did want to get this video out talking about Strand Titan, talking about Solar Titan, and hopefully you've been playing and hopefully you've kind of noticed the same thing. Like, it doesn't feel like invalid anymore. It still feels really good. It still feels really strong. But of course, I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below on Strand Titan, on heavy-handed, on firepower, like all those nerfs that we just talked about. Like, do you feel that's, you know, it's not as impactful as you thought it was going to be, or do you feel like it's just as bad as you thought it was going to be? Feel like it's worse than I guess you initially thought? But yeah, with that being said though, please enjoy these screenshots of what the new dungeon armor set is going to look like. It's the Dark Age, insert whatever class name you have. I didn't have any shaders. I just had these screenshots of the armor sets. So yeah, you can go enjoy those. Also, the new dungeon exotic, I believe, is going to be called Wishkeeper. It's an exotic Strand bow, so that's pretty cool. That being said, guys, hope you'll have a good night, and I will catch y'all tomorrow. Bye for now.